Hello, my name is Paul Stewart and I'm in the flight deck of a retired Qantas Boeing 747 here at the HARS Aviation Museum in Wollongong. And later today I'm going to be heading down to the Oz Flight Sim Expo 2019, and I've got here with me Daniel, who's involved with organising the event. So Daniel, can you tell us a bit more about the expo?
Yeah, so the Oz Flight Sim Expo is the only event that's solely dedicated to flight simulation. We have everything from general aviation right through till military commercial experiences here, where we've got a whole heap of desktop setups, cockpit modules, and we've even got a good dogfighting competition happening as well.
Sounds great, so let's head inside. So here we are, inside hangar number 1 at HARS, which stands for the Historical Aircraft Restoration Society at the Illawarra Regional Airport, just south of Sydney. I'll look at this in more detail shortly, but just quickly on the right we've got the Royal Australian Navy helicopter simulators. And one really cool thing about this place is that it's an actual aircraft hangar, and some of the aircraft, including this Trans-Australian Airline Corvair 440, are actually airworthy. Below those are a few desk-mounted simulators, and further around, some more advanced simulators with very impressive TV screens. First up, here's me jumping into an F16 fighter jet. On the left is a throttle and on the right is the joystick. It was really interesting how you get so immersed in the flying, and even though you're sitting on the ground, you tend to lean around and tense certain sides of your body when you're turning the aircraft. It's really cool, although to be honest, I was pretty bad at flying. Next up was a really cool simulator. The attention to detail in one of these is astounding, and being wrapped in the cocoon of what appears like a real fighter jet really adds to the magic. As you can see by the size of my grin, I felt pretty cool, kinda like this RAAF pilot in this F18 at the Aviation Airshow earlier this year. Now here's me again in the simulator and preparing to fly what I think was also an F18 against some pesky miscreants. It was awesome, and I must admit I did really picture myself looking like this guy in an F22 Raptor at Aviation, although to be honest I probably looked more like this guy in the F18. I should mention that while my camera did distort some of the colours on the screen, in person they were perfectly fine. That appears to be the GoPro's problem, and I was really surprised by how detailed and high quality the TV screens actually were. Next up was a real highlight for me. It was the Navy's Bell Global Ranger Virtual Reality Simulator, so you're fully immersed in the experience and the seat also moves you around. Now the screen in front of me that you can see now provides you with a bit of a taste of what I could see, although it doesn't really do it justice. It was really fantastic, and I took off from an aircraft carrier, flew around a little, and then attempted to land on it again. Unfortunately, because it was so realistic, I may have slightly got a little bit motion sick and had to stop prematurely, which is embarrassing and also why I don't fly for the Navy. And finally, I was into this very cool full-sized Boeing 737-700 simulator, which this guy has in the back of a trailer. We didn't get the chance to leave the ground, but we did get to taxi around an airport in southern Australia. If you can identify where it is, please comment below. As someone who flies in 737s 10 to 20 times a year, it felt pretty cool sitting in the flight deck, looking out at an airport that was really familiar. And of course, there's something very cool about pushing the throttle forward and hearing those two CFM engines spool up a little. And finally, I ran into Michael, who told me a little about something I'd actually never heard of. Now I knew people flew in simulators, but I never realised that there were also simulated air traffic controllers that connected all these aviation geeks across the world. I'll let him explain it a little more.
Hey guys, and welcome to IVAO, the International Virtual Aviation Organisation. We're just an online network for like-minded individuals who like to fly virtually or control virtually online. So as you can see, we have say Melbourne Airport, Sydney Airport and Melbourne Centre all open at the moment, and the beauty of it is that you can boot up a simulator at home in your own comfort, sit down with your own skill level and get controlled by a competent controller, just like in the real world, as real as it gets. So as an example, we have David over here from the Rally Air Virtual Airline, who's got his 737 on the ground, and you'll actually see that in Melbourne at the moment parked at the gate. And when he gets his flight plan booted up, he'll probably be heading back to Sydney. And so he'll get his clearance and his altitude clearance, and we'll control him and guide him out. So it's just an online platform where you can get some training, some experience, and just meet some like-minded aviation enthusiasts, just like all of us.
Cool, okay. Sounds good, thanks for that.
Thanks, Paul.
And finally, the aircraft in the museum were all open with tour guides more than willing to show you around. Now I won't include much of that now because I'm actually going to return to HARS in the very near future and record some new videos crawling around some of their exhibits. So make sure you've subscribed to my channel so that you know when I publish those. So that concludes what has been a really fun day. And then my battery died, so here I am at home with another Qantas Boeing 747 I found lying around. Now if you live in Sydney or the Illawarra region, it's well worth visiting this expo, and they've got some big announcements coming out for next year, so I'll include a link to their website in the video description below, and that'll include dates for next year's show. Now while that's only one weekend, the HARS Museum is open every day and they run really good tours through all their aircraft, including that one, and you can get onto the flight deck of a real, just recently retired 747, which is really cool, and that's what you saw at the start of my video. And finally, if you're into aviation videos, please check out my channel where I've got heaps of other aviation videos, including a walk through the first ever Boeing 747 that's currently in Seattle, and more recently I've done a tribute to the Qantas Queen of the Skies. Thanks for watching, I'll see you another time.